All right. Welcome to Local Energy. My name is Peter Brecht, and I'm here with Wade Spear. We're back. It's just the two of us today. Man, I'm so excited, Wade. We're wrapping up 2025 into 2026. What a great. It's been fun. I don't know. This has been a good time.
It's been a crazy year. It's been a year of growth for me,
Yeah.
for sure.
So many changes. My family, we've moved, or I'm like third year into this new venture. Man, I've got to talk to some great people. Just yesterday, I was talking to another guy in oil and gas that, has a podcast and videos, and he just hit 1 million views. And I'm like, all these crazy people that we've gotten to like connect with and talk to. And then,
Right.
on the show, but off the show too. But so anyways, I'm like, I feel good today because it's just you and me. Like we're back to
Where we started.
right where we started. And so what I did was I wanted to go through like where we were at the beginning and kind of just share a couple things that have happened. So by the numbers, okay. So Phil Mickelson winked at me on Twitter. Okay. And that wink, honestly, it ranks closely behind me, meaning Bill Murray. We just rounded out. So we're 8 months of recording. Okay. Our first recording happened on April 30th. We never published that one because it was so bad. But I think I'm going to, just for fun, just so people can see like how much
Right.
we've changed. Okay.
Yeah.
We're sitting at almost 5,000 followers on TikTok, hoping to hit about 1,000 followers on YouTube by the end of the year.
Wow. All right.
We've defined 24 oilfield abbreviations, enforced half a dozen oilfield superstitions, and talked with 14 people. Okay. We've interviewed 14
Okay.
people this year. Pretty good.
No kidding.
Yeah. I watched Interstellar. Okay. Not just once, but twice. And I actually,
And
I like
you
it
didn't
now.
fully appreciate it. Oh, okay.
I like
that's
it
right.
now. I like it now.
All
Yeah.
right.
The first time was terrible. The second time I was like, I can understand it. And I probably will watch it the third time by the end of the year.
Okay.
I saw Tombstone finally, and
All right.
smartest guys in the room, but I still haven't seen Tenet. Okay.
Tenet. I watched it on the plane last week.
Okay. So
Again.
there you go. How many times for you?
Tenet, I've got to be nearing 15
Oh my
15
gosh.
times.
All right.
It's not like, I mean, like, it's great. I
Yeah.
love it. But
Yeah.
like, it's the whole, like, it just draws me in. Like the action of it and the just the complexity of it. I love it.
All right.
love it.
Well, I might have to watch it then. We'll see. I'm still out on it. What I've realized,
Give it a shot. Give it a shot before your next Interstellar watch. All right.
This show has shown me how few movies I've actually seen. Like,
Yeah, I'm blown away by your lack of depth on movie watching.
we've talked about 15 movies on this show,
Right.
and I've only seen 3 of them. So I have a lot of watching
Okay.
to do. All right.
Well, I got to tell you too, like, it's funny because from our conversation, like with my kids, so my kids go to like a classical education school, right? And so they have like a canon that they have to read in elementary or middle school, and it's like the Odyssey and like all of these different things.
Oh yeah.
And so I was thinking, like, my daughter's a senior this year. She's getting ready to go off to college. And so like I told them, I was like, all right, like I need to get you guys like caught up on movies, like movies from my generation that are amazing. So like we're kind of going through a canon of movies that I feel are like, all right, you got to see these before you go off to college.
It's funny. I had a very similar education. It's like, it's called Classical Academy where I live. It was the school,
Okay,
but
yep.
basically same thing. You study all like the Iliad and Homer and like all the philosophers and
Dante and all this
and
stuff.
you learn like Latin and Greek, and then you forget all of it by the time you go to college. But I think that's a reason why I haven't seen a lot of movies to this day. I still haven't seen The Godfather, and I refuse to watch it. And I think it's because everyone told me at 18, they're like, you have to see The Godfather. I'm like, I'm not doing it, so I'm sticking to my guns on that one. But
a lot of people say The Godfather Part 2 is even better than The Godfather 1. So.
And I'll never find out. Isn't that amazing?
That's so weird. I don't understand why. Like, why? It's just pride at that point. You're like,
it is.
Stubbornness.
It's 100% pride. That's all it is.
Okay. All right.
It's a running joke with some people that, used to be my mentors, I suppose. But anyways, I'll watch Tenet. Okay. So I've got a lot I wanted to talk about. Like I have like a full page of notes, and we're not going to get to all of it, obviously, because one thing you brought up before we hit record was the Spotify Wrapped. And so I want to hear your Spotify Wrapped, and I want to compare it to mine and see if I can maybe find a good suggestion for, the new year.
Okay. So my Spotify Wrapped, I'm trying to think here. My top 5 artists were Zach Bryan was number 1.
Okay.
Good Neighbors was number 2. I think Will Dorado was number 3.
Okay.
Local, I'm almost 100% certain they're from Tulsa. And then I've got who else? Mountjoy was number 5, and Dylan Gossett I think was number 4. So like
Okay.
alternative country. So
Okay.
yeah, it was like alternative country type. Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny though, because I shared it with my kids, and so my kids shared theirs with me, and we were looking at things like my son shared his listening age. He's like 47 is his listening age,
Yeah. Yeah.
and mine was 26. And so it
Whoa.
was it's kind of funny there, you know.
Yeah, that's mine's 56. That's what and like my wife, hers is like exclusively rap, like hardcore rap, like 50 Cent and like it's just
Okay,
it's a whole and it's not my genre, but like I married her, so we listen to it every now and then, right? If like when the
right.
kids aren't around, you know? But my Spotify list is so my top listen was Mark Knopfler. And I don't know
Never
if you heard
heard
of
of
them.
him.
Dire
No idea.
Straits. He's an incredible guitarist. Back in I think he like mid '80s is when he started, but I listen to him all the
Okay.
time. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster is my second, and they're kind of it's a metal band, but like country. Like if I'm like working out, I'll listen to them.
Okay.
And then
All
I have
right.
you're gonna hate me for this one, but Coldplay is my third.
Coldplay, that's
I know.
fine.
It's embarrassing. All their old stuff though, like none of their new stuff. It's like all from high school. And then
Okay.
I have Pink Floyd and then John Foreman. So John Foreman's like a solo musician. He plays in a band called Switchfoot from California. But so
Okay.
that's
Now I know
those are my
Switchfoot.
top 5. Yeah, yeah, Switchfoot. So
Okay.
he's the lead singer, but he does his own thing every now and then, and he's got some great solo stuff.
I think he has like a podcast out that my wife listens to.
Okay, he might. He's just
I think he has like a super popular podcast out.
okay. He very well could. I mean, the guy, his dad was a pastor at the church that we used to go to here in Carlsbad.
Okay.
And not a mega church, but like so I mean he's just part of the community. They run the Bro-Am every year. They give away millions of dollars to kids in
Right.
need, and it's just a cool like
What's his name again?
John Foreman, Jon.
John Foreman.
Yeah, John Foreman.
Okay.
Yeah, Jon, the
All
three
right.
Johns. Anyways,
All right.
yeah, good stuff. All right, so let's talk oil and gas, I guess, which is why we're really here, right? At the end of the day. But so I have a little bit of a debate here. I have some questions from our academy, so these are more the 101.
Okay.
And I think we'll start with those. So
Okay.
they had to go through a bunch of material and kind of learn the basics of oil and gas. And so one question they had was the definition of capping. Like, what does it mean to cap a well? And I'm pretty sure it's an easy answer, but I could be wrong.
Capping a well, like at least on the drilling side, like whenever we move off of location, like we finish drilling, and everything, we put essentially a cap on it. You can, it's really depends on where you're at in the drilling process. Like if we've still got to drill intermediate, if they just set surface or whatever, a lot of times where you don't have any kind of pressure or gas or anything like that,
Mhm.
they'll just put like you can kind of tack weld like just essentially like a piece of metal on top of it.
Okay.
But a lot of other times it's much more, depending on what your regulations are and all that stuff, you're essentially just closing in the well. You're putting a lid on it essentially. There's tons of different ways you can do it.
So this is not a plug and abandon, a P&A. This is a different
No.
process. Okay. Okay. So
Yes.
you're still using the well, still
Yeah,
producing.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And
Okay.
a lot of times too, I mean, if you're like during the drilling process, we have something like we'll put a cap on it is what we'll talk about. And then we're essentially talking about like a mud cap, so like a weighted pill on the backside, and
Yeah.
it adds a hydrostatic pressure so that when we're tripping out, you don't get any influx of gas or whatever. It kind of keeps your pressure up even though your pumps are off. So there'll be times, we could use terminology like that. But I think more than likely you're probably referring to, actually putting an actual what you'd consider a lid on top of the well. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. So second question from our academy group. So has a
Okay.
shutdown well ever been reopened and then produced more than it did before? And I think we need to probably put some context on this because
hmm
my guess is you're not going to P&A a well and then reopen it, but you might go in to do like a refrac or something and get more production out of it, or maybe not. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's tons of different reasons why like where you could shut in and then get more production afterwards. I mean, let's just say this. So like if you shut in a well, right, that's currently active, like it's flowing and it's doing all those things. A lot of times what happens is you'll get when you reopen the well, you get flush production. So like over the first days or weeks, like you'll actually get a lot of more production than what you were getting before you shut it in. Now
Okay.
that's for a very short amount of time. until your pressures kind of equalize and stuff. And so we normally call that flush production.
Okay.
A couple of other reasons why you'd see an increase. Number one is like you'd say if you go back in and you refrac it, that will expose the wellbore to a new reservoir, and so you can get greater amount of hydrocarbons than what you had whenever you shut the well in. Another one would be like you were talked about going in perfing different zones. So in like a lot of these old verticals, they would they'd perf like a deeper zone or whatever. You come back in, you plug it,
Mhm.
and that you plug off that deeper zone if it's no longer productive, and then
Yeah.
you can, if there's a zone uphold that's perspective, go pop it and stem it and see what it does.
So I didn't know that. So I just learned something. You can P&A just a portion of the well. You don't have to do the whole thing. You could just do a section.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at that point, you just plug it off. So, like, you
Yeah.
run in the hole with a packer or a
Right.
bridge plug or something like that,
Okay.
and set that. And so, therefore, everything below that is now, it's
Not being
closed
touched.
off.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so it's separate from that uphole zone. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. All right, there you go. That's why we're here. Okay, third question is around failure rate. So this is a tough question to answer because it's not probably in our wheelhouse necessarily, but I think we could probably come up with a good sort of general answer. But how often do small and mid-sized companies go out of business due to poor evaluation or development? There's
It
so much to
changes.
unpack there, even like with
Yeah, I
how
mean,
it
there's
works, you know?
tons. Let's just say this: it's an extremely volatile industry,
Yeah,
right? There's
yeah,
tons of volatility in it, and a lot of it's due to a number of different factors. Number one is that we don't control price. Like we are essentially price takers at the market. The market is so big and it's affected by so many different things that there's really nothing that we can do to affect. Or I would say there's very little that we can do to affect the price that we get. We're always trying to turn these knobs. Maybe sell to a different market, or at times, what you'll see is you'll see people do like what we talked about before, ducks, where they drill but not complete the well.
right.
They're essentially letting it sit there until prices get better. But yeah, I would say as an operator, like it's just small little levers that you're pulling to try and get better pricing. So you're kind of at the mercy of that. Then the other thing I'd say that we have more control over is like your capital spend and all these different things, right? And so that's where we can really affect kind of how our companies perform and all that. Now, if you go out and you buy a big property and it's $100 a barrel oil, the volatility says it's eventually going to get back down to $60 at some point.
Hmm.
And so if you overextend yourself at the wrong time, then bankruptcy is kind of chasing you and waiting on you.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to say that we don't see that anymore, because we definitely do, but I think as an industry as a whole, I think over the last 2 or 3 decades, we've probably gotten a little bit more conscious of that, of
Hmm.
that volatility, and try not to extend ourselves a whole lot.
Yeah.
Now there's always going to be outliers out there. There's always people using leverage to try and hit it big and increase revenue, increase profit, do all those different things.
Yep.
I think overall as a whole, we've seen a lot of that kind of that speculation. I think that risk tolerance has definitely decreased, is what I would say.
Yeah, everybody wants to, I don't know, like I like taking high risks, like if it's calculated in some way, right? But,
Right.
to pull off something like Jerry Jones, for example, I mean, the likelihood of that happening is more difficult, right? Um,
It's tough, but I mean, but there's a lot of people out there. I mean, it's funny because like I'll meet a lot of people in the industry, or let's say I don't even know that they're in the industry, right? Like people at my kids' school, like I'll meet these dads. I'm like, hey, what do you do? And they're like a small independent operator, but
yeah,
they're doing great. I mean, their investment's really paying off, and they're doing very well. And so, as much as I think you hear about the bankruptcies and the failures, I think there's also a flip side out there of people who are, have a good grasp of the risk tolerance
yeah.
and find their niche and are able to make a good profit out of
I just think of like, talking to Reed Goodman a couple weeks ago, I
it.
mean, he's got 40 something wells. I just talked to another guy out in East Texas that, like you can't, you'll never find the guy. You'll never hear about him on the internet.
Right.
He's but he sent me a DM and he's like, hey, let's talk sometime. And so, but we talked, he's got, about 120 wells and it's just, like living life and,
There's out there, yep,
it's
making a
it's
living off of
great,
it, right?
he's
Yep.
part of it, which is cool.
Yep.
I think a lot of the stress I see maybe isn't on the operator side. Obviously, but a lot of I think more of the challenges that I see is on like the service company side, like the guys that are doing the wireline and the frac. Like, I think there's a lot of pressure on those guys because they're sort of the middleman, and they can, they're trying to help develop the asset, and they got to compete on bids and work and people. Like, I think there's more challenges for those in the industry than anywhere else, but that's just an observation from talking to people. I don't know if that's the case or not.
I mean, I think that generally speaking, I would say so. I mean, you see Conoco's laying off 10,
Yeah.
20%. I mean, there's some big layoffs going on. I'll also say too, though, like I was on the, I started off on the service company side working at Baker Hughes, and layoffs there were very, very deep. I mean, there were times, in 2009 after the 2008 collapse that, we laid off. I mean, we lost rigs. Every rig that you drop was four hands, two directional drillers, two MWDs. Baker Hughes, where I was working, I think one of our highest days that we had was like 70 rigs we had running at the time. So, you think about that, that's 70 times four, you're talking about 280 guys.
Yeah.
And we eventually went down to 12 or 15 rigs. And, as a company, you hate it, but you just can't keep those people on hoping that things turn around quickly, because it seems to fall off a cliff. And what's the saying? You take the elevator down and the stairs back up.
Yep.
So it's kind of what it is. And so it always felt to me like the cuts were deeper at service companies. And that was one of the big reasons why I tried to get over to an operator earlier in my career, is because I felt it was a little bit safer. Plus, it's always tough at a service company side. I always felt like I was getting yelled at from everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
The operator could be upset with you, like you're saying, because your prices, something wasn't done, or sometimes you're just a scapegoat. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
I think we've all been in that position to where you have one point of contact at a company, something goes wrong out there, maybe you had nothing to do with it, or it wasn't even your guys, but the guy in the office doesn't want to take the blame, and so he blames everybody out there on location, and so there's interesting situations like that, and you definitely get caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Whenever you're working on the service company side.
Well, I mean, that's a great observation between the two. I mean, but yeah, either way, I mean, it's the industry is, it's always evolving. There's always something going on, but I don't know. I like talking to the service guys, especially because it's like, they're, I don't know, like you said, they're kind of caught in the middle sometimes. Right. And it's like,
oh yeah,
they're the ones that are
it's
putting in a lot of the work too. So it's good. All right.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. I got one more question from the Academy. So resistivity. What is resistivity? And I don't know the context of this question, so we're going to have to kind of poke around a bit.
All right. So resistivity, when you say that to me, the first thing I think of is like a LWD tool. So LWD, logging while drilling. It's a tool we use while we're drilling our wells, vertical, horizontal, whatever. Resistivity isn't a tool that I've run in a while. We've relied primarily on gamma ray. But, resistivity, essentially what it is it's you're sending a current out into the formation, and you're measuring how it returns back to you, right? So how it flows through the formation and the fluid that you've got and all that stuff. And so, resistivity and conductivity are essentially the same thing, just inverse. And so resistivity will tell you, a lot of times you can use resistivity to tell like how much water is in a formation, because, if there's high water, right, like electricity flows through water very, very well. And so a lot of times your resistivity will go down in these formations. But I really, like I said, I don't use it tons. I'm definitely not an expert. It probably would have been a whole lot better to talk to a geo about that.
Yeah.
But essentially it's a tool it's sending a current out into formation and measuring how it comes back.
Well, the next
you do have a transmitter and a receiver whenever you're getting your logging resistivity. And so
the next geo that we have on, we'll throw that at them and just
we'll say, hey, go deep into resistivity.
Yes. Let's go deeper. Right. Perfect. Okay. I've got two directions we can go here, and we could probably go with both, but I can either share a couple insights about oilfield stereotypes that I've gathered from the comments, or I've got a handful of abbreviations that we can dig into.
I'm fine with either. You can do both. I mean, I don't care. Let's,
Okay. Well, I'll talk about the stereotypes real quick.
Okay.
Our comment section, it just gets better with time, because people are watching videos like from 6 months ago, and it's amazing.
Okay.
But here's something I've learned. So the definition of an engineer is somebody that's fascinated by things that no one cares about.
I mean, there's definitely, 100%. There's some truth to that.
There you go. A salesperson, oilfield salesperson, will send you 1,000 TikTok stories, but never return a phone call. Not sure if that's
I
true or
don't know.
not, but I could
I
see
don't know
that.
about that
I
one.
could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna return the phone calls, but
I was
anyways.
gonna say, usually a sales guy, like if you're not returning phone calls, that's
I live and die by my phone, man. That's all I have, and it's usually in my hand, and it doesn't matter what time of day. But that's the sentiment. Maybe it was a little bit of a tough one. All right, and then a geologist is the only person at the beach with rocks in their pockets. Uh, I guess my 6-year-old qualifies as a geologist, but he probably needs to go to school first. I don't know. That's tough.
pretty much
That's tough.
junior varsity,
Yeah,
JV
probably.
geologist.
But man, I don't know, like my son collects rocks. Like that's his thing. And
All right.
we were up in Utah and then we were in Wyoming. And you know, what do you got to make your son happy? I'll just pull over to the side of the road, grab a couple rocks, and he was on cloud nine. He loved it.
Yeah, you're just exploring, you're looking at stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, learn all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
And in
Yeah.
Utah, have you been to Utah before?
No.
Man, if you're driving through there, if you ever have the opportunity, so we drove from Salt Lake City to Evanston and then Casper. And
Okay.
and like Utah's beautiful, but like as you're driving, like you see all the rocks and like how they're like you can literally see like the seams and like it's just beautiful. I'm sure if I was driving with a geologist, they wouldn't have stopped talking. But I would love to learn. Like I'm actually curious
Right.
about how it works. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh man, they go on field trips all the time. They're always
Ah,
like looking at outcrops and all that
right.
stuff. I mean, we've got some really cool stuff like that in Oklahoma.
I thought Oklahoma was like
Especially,
flat. No?
I mean, it's kind of flat.
Yeah. Okay.
Like okay, so take southern Oklahoma, right? Like there's a big outcrop, like where they we call where essentially like they've dug the highway interstate. It's I
Yeah,
thirty
yeah, yeah.
five
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
going through like the Arbuckle Mountains down in southern
Mhm.
Oklahoma, and you can see like all the different like stratigraphy and all that stuff. It's really cool. It's really
Okay.
cool to see.
All right. Well,
Yep.
I might have to do that sometime. I'm like, I need to travel more around. Like, I can't, I just go to the hot spots. Like, you go to the big cities and it's like, just get outside in the country a little more. It's probably better.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's hit some abbreviations. So
Okay.
far this year, we've covered 24 abbreviations. So, I mean, that's a pretty good number, but I
I
don't
think I've
think
only missed one.
you've only missed one. And I
Norm.
feel like we've only cracked the surface of really
Okay.
what's
Yeah.
possible.
Oh yeah. There's
It's
thousands.
endless. So, all right. First one is DC.
No, it's not IADC. Okay, because
IDC.
that's exactly what I think. But this one's got me.
You have. It's intangible drilling costs.
Oh my gosh! I couldn't get off of IADC,
I know it's tough. It's tough once you see it.
International Association of Drilling Contractors,
Right.
IDC. Yeah,
Yep.
intangible drilling costs. All
Take the
right.
A
Yes,
out. Take the A out.
that's one I should have got.
That's all right.
100%.
All right. This one you've got in the
100%.
bag. I'm sure of it. SBM.
SBM.
No.
BM makes me think of like based mud.
Yeah. You're right. You got
Like
you
a
got
saline based mud.
no synthetic based mud.
Synthetic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Close. All
All
right.
right.
You had two.
No,
I'm giving that one to you. I'm giving that one to you.
no, I don't know about that, man. That's yeah,
All right.
synthetic based mud. Okay.
Man, I gotta like pick and choose here. I'm gonna give you one more, but I'm like, that's easy. That's too easy. That's too easy. All right, let's do this one. What is frac? SCF.
Standard cubic feet per hour.
Boom, you got it. All right.
Okay. Well,
There we
that's just
go.
the
There we
all right.
go.
There you
I
go.
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've covered now 27 who have gotten you've only
I
missed
I
you've only
I
missed
only
two.
got
You've
one
only
today.
missed two. You've only missed two.
Yeah, 2.5 at least.
All right. Well, hey, I've got other stuff I want to talk about, but like Nevada, we've got like I had questions about, why is Nevada not interesting for drilling? And I want to find somebody it's trying to drill in Nevada to come on the show and chat more. I've got, day work footage, turnkey contracts. There's so much we could like dig into more. But what I really want to hear about, Wade, is as we wrap up this year and head into next, like what are you looking forward to? And, anything that you're like, man, this is like, I don't know. It's 20. I don't want to predict 2026, but I feel like it's going to be a pretty good year. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, I'll tell you this, like 2026 or 2025 was a big change for me. I've been essentially a W-2 employee ever since 2006, whenever
Yeah.
I started in the oil field. And so this year brought a whole lot of growth in that sense for me in terms of, kind of dealing with what I would say is even more uncertainty than what I normally had to, but at the same time, it was a lot of excitement around that. Got to meet a whole lot of great people, work with some great companies that I would have never gotten to meet otherwise. And
Right.
so looking into 2026, I'm excited about growing that, just not only just growing network, but like growing my knowledge, getting to drill in some different areas and do some different things that I haven't done before. You can always bring over kind of lessons learned and that experience you've got from other basins into new places, but
Yeah.
it never completely lays over, and it really accelerates the learning curve. And so I'm really excited for that. I love that gas prices are kind of going up right now. That's amazing for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Is it going to be sustained? History would
Yeah.
say no, and I'm pretty sure everybody out there knows exactly. I mean, like we talked about earlier, volatility. Like it's great to see those gas prices going up. I'd love to see everything get up to 80 and 4 and just kind of hang around there. 80 and 5 would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that, like I said earlier, like we can't really control it. We just kind of have to go with it and figure out how to work, work within those bounds. And so,
Yeah.
I'll be excited. One of the things I'm really excited in 2026 to see is where AI goes. Like, man, the growth of it in the past 12 months. Now, granted, maybe I'm kind of new to it, so I've only really been kind of exploring it over the past probably 6 or 8 months. But the growth that I've seen and how effective it makes me as an engineer and everything over the past 6 months has just been exceptional. And it almost feels like it's still in this, like, I don't want to say exponential phase, but it really is. It's just not this linear growth right now. And so I'm excited to see where that goes, not just in terms of the industry, but just in terms of like personal productivity and cool things that we can do.
You're going to think this is crazy, but so we moved into a much smaller, I used to have like a big library of books and I don't have anywhere to put the books. But
Okay.
what I learned was, so this is nuts. And if you're a reader of books, physical books, you should turn this off now because you're going to hate what I did. I went to FedEx and I
Okay.
cut the binding off of every single book that I own, like literally
Okay.
every book. I cut the binding off, and then I spent the day before Thanksgiving, I scanned all these books into my computer. I probably had about 120 books
Okay.
that I'd collected. I scanned all of them, put them into my computer, did an OCR scan on all of them,
Okay.
uploaded them into my AI system, which is a RAG tool in Google Vertex. I had it
Okay.
index all the books. Here's the crazy thing. So I created my own like AI tool. So basically now whenever I'm like looking for something and like I'm like, hey, I need to find notes on, like I had some old oil and gas books even that I had reprinted. And I'm like, hey, I want to find out, what happened in oil and gas between the 1850 and 1900. It'll literally go in there and it does a deep research on all my books, all my sources, and it comes up. So like I have all my knowledge now is an AI. And my wife's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? I'm like, it is so much more incredible when you can take all of your knowledge, everything you've ever read, and then find
Right.
like the common threads. AI is just, we have no idea where this is going,
That's
but
really
it's going to
cool.
be incredible. It's going to be fun.
Tell me how you scanned every page. Like,
I,
there's no way that you just put this on a scanner
yeah,
and like
I did. I sat there and I fed like just
you
like
did not.
handfuls. Yeah,
How long did that take?
it took me probably 14 hours, like straight. Like
My
I didn't
gosh,
move. I was like, I'm getting this done. I had a stack of books in my corner, but
dude.
I've had this scanner since college, and like I'd scan all my work done once I was done with it, and I just put it into on a flash drive. It was great. The hard part was indexing it all. I had to upload it into a tool to
Right.
do it because OCR scans are super important for
Oh, yeah.
AI to like understand like what it's looking at, and stuff's just not there yet. Like Gemini's good. Gemini, will take takes a picture of the file, and then it treats it like a photo and it analyzes it that way. But like if you're using Claude or anything else, it can be kind of challenging to
Have you
reverse it.
used the native Adobe tool?
No.
It's
Is it
it's
good?
really good.
Is it?
So like if I got an Adobe Pro subscription
See,
and
I don't want to pay for Adobe. I'm cheap,
you
but
do it for a month and you
it's
scanned all
probably not
this in
bad.
14 hours.
I know
But
you're
like
right.
seriously, it's built into the program. You
Yeah,
just
yeah,
click scan an OCR and
yeah.
it has helped me.
Okay.
It has helped Claude be able to read and interpret everything
Yeah,
so much. And
yeah,
even the Python scripts that read OCR stuff or create OCR stuff,
yeah, yeah.
it's helped that out a lot as well.
Okay.
So like so I use that. I've got a
Yeah,
Power Automate like workflow built
yeah.
that that I because Power Automate also has that same Adobe OCR built into it.
Okay.
if you have the Adobe Pro subscription, and it's amazing.
And I think probably the reason I'm doing it like this is, and I'll have to look at that because that'd be helpful. But like, we take all these insurance policies, and what we've been doing is we've been building a database of like books and resources and legal documents and all this, and compare it against it, which has been really cool. But I don't know, man. Like I think everyone's like, oh, it's gonna take like 12 months out. Like if you're not thinking in like quarter by quarters now, I think it's like, what's it gonna be in 3 months? We used to be talking what's gonna be in a year or
It's
9 months.
weeks. It's
Yeah,
weeks
it's
now.
crazy. It's so much.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, next year I'm excited about AI. We'll see where gas prices go. I hope California can start drilling some wells. I want to travel more. Based on hopefully work allows me to do that and go do some
Right.
things. But yeah, I still want to come out to a drilling rig, but haven't made that happen yet. So,
We'll make it happen
anyways,
in 2026.
I think that's the plan. I think that's the
All
plan.
right.
Yeah,
All
cool.
right.
Well, Wade, yeah, we're here. We're 35 minutes in. This is where most people decide to tune out anyways. So uh
Okay.
we'll have
We'll
a great
wrap it up then.
afternoon. And man, I guess the next time that you and I have a one-on-one episode will be at 26. So we've got some great interviews lined up. We're gonna keep lining people up that are, either building cool things in oil and gas, putting their hands on tools, and we're just gonna keep learning.
Let's do it.
Appreciate y'all for listening. And Wade, thank you for being such a fun co-host, and it's good to have you.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
man.
later.
Bye, Peter.